Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. Coming at you with some more P.U.N.K. Been a minute since I've played this deck, and not only is P.U.N.K one of my favorite archetypes, but much like Sprite, another of my favorite archetypes, it was actually buffed by the recent ban list with Kashtira Fenrir going to 3. For this first game, we're not going to see Fenrir, but we will see it soon. So here we are up against a Synchron deck, and we are having to combo with a little bit of a weird opening hand. It's mostly a little bit weird because the Hecahands is on our opening hand. Normally, we summon this from the deck using the Rising Scale. However, this cast to summon from the deck or graveyard cannot summon from the hand. So, what I decided to do here is, even though I opened with Xayameen, and ideally you'd normal summon Xayameen, we're going to start with the Hecahands. This combo line slash hand is really weak to Ash Blossom on the Rising card, but thankfully they didn't have it here. So we're going to go Log On for Field Spell, as well as the Deer Note. We're going to sync the two of them to make the level 8 Jam Dragon Drive. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Chainlink 1 Jam Dragon Drive, Chainlink 2 Deer Note to revive Hecahands. We need Hecahands to be able to make the Amazing Dragon on the opponent's turn, and I'm going to add Xayameen here. Since I haven't actually used Xayameen's on-field effect, we're going to get our draw with the Field Spell, then banish the Xayameen in our graveyard to summon the one from our hand. We're going to add the Ogre Dance, which lets us get another draw from the Extreme Session. Now we are going to summon out the Madam Spider using Foxy Tune. That'll let us add Dangerous Gabu, another negate. And now we can pivot into the Fiendsmith side of our deck. I've mentioned this before, but Kashtira Fenrir really slots very nicely into any deck playing Fiendsmith, and P.U.N.K puts out more than enough bodies to pivot on into a Fiendsmith line on its own. But of course, Kashtira Fenrir is good for more than just going into Fiendsmith. Again, we'll see an example of that here shortly. But for now, we are going to summon out the Necro Quip. We're using a minimalist Fiendsmith package. If you're curious about what I mean by that, I made a video recently showcasing all the different iterations of the Fiendsmith engine. Check that out. I'll link it down below. Why not? And when I say minimal, I mean I'm basically just playing Engraver in my main deck, and then a few cards in my extra deck to only summon out Caesar. Since Fiendsmith can't really pivot into P.U.N.K, I'm just using it as part of the P.U.N.K combo line. But we end up with enough extra bodies to make the level 11 Jirai Shen. For those unfamiliar, this is a quick effect board wipe for either all of your opponent's face-up monsters or spell and trap cards. I could have also, if I really wanted to, made the Pep instead, or I could have kept one of my level 3 tuners on the field and gone into Jam Fever for a monster negate. So there was a ton of different ways to build this end board, but the one I have here has the 2 summon negates. We've got the board wipe from the Jirai Shen. Of course, we have another board wipe if we go into Amazing Dragon. The Gabu is a monster negate that we searched, and then we also have the Imperm, Valor, and Droll. So very excellent setup here. Opponent's going to fire off an E-Telly. Since they're on Synchron, I'm pretty sure that was trying to go for the Assault Mode Psi Reflector or whatever it's called, but we're just going to Caesar it, and then as soon as it gets negated, they're just going to immediately concede. So that was more just kind of demonstrating a possible turn 1 combo line. Typically, you would, again, begin with normal summon Xayameen, and there are ways you could have normal summoned a Xayameen, gotten the Hecahands into the yard. Actually, I don't know if that would have been possible to then get it back out, right? Well, no, you could have, yeah, because the level 8, the Rising Scale, would have summoned it from the graveyard. That's how you could have done it. But I just decided to kind of roll the dice and normal summon Hecahands. I guess it's kind of the same either way, but yeah, pretty good example of going first with P.U.N.K and what you could expect out of your end board. Let's see some more going second gameplay. Okay, so this is going to be a quick one-turn game against Hecahands. And more than anything, I really wanted to demonstrate not only some going second gameplay, but also us kind of interacting with our opponent's board, utilizing our hand traps, including Ghost Ogre, which of course we're using because it's searchable off the field spell. But on top of that, it also is just really, really good in this meta. Now, this was me not paying attention. For some reason, I thought they were using one of the Hecahands that adds a spell trap card, but they used the one that summons from deck. So I did miss a Fulos draw here. That's my bad, but we'll just chain the Fulos to the Gygus and start getting draws off that. Because Gygus does summon from the deck, even if it's not your opponent's deck, that still counts for Fulos. So they're going to reveal Foxy Tune, Fulos, and Rising Scale, taking my Rising Scale, which is totally fine because I have the other 2 in hand. Hidden Hecahands, they're going to send away their Gygus for Breas. And then they're going to set the Yadal, which is the Spell Trap Negate. Hidden Hecahands Graveyard Effect's going to let me draw and then discard. Definitely going to get rid of my extra Rising Scale. They're going to summon the Breas, and then I'm going to throw out the Fulos, because I know they could go for Jaza right here if they wanted to. Alright, they're going to reveal... Thankfully, okay, so they use the effect to reveal a random card, and I could have chained Ghost Ogre here to destroy the Breas, and then I would have lost either Deer Note or Rising Scale, but I really did not want to lose Rising Scale here, because if all I have left is Deer Note, that's not really enough to make plays. So that's why I didn't chain Ghost Ogre, was to give my opponent better odds of not hitting the Rising Scale. But thankfully, they revealed the best possible card for me called by. Because it's not a monster, they're not able to summon the card to my field. They are, however, going to go for a Metamorphosis. And this is the big, scary target for Metamorphosis that some people, when the card was first unbanned, were kind of dooming about, which is Last Warrior from Another Planet. Now, when it's special summoned, it's going to destroy all other monsters, and while it's on the field, neither player can summon monsters. However, thankfully, the effect that destroys all other monsters does actually activate. So when they go to use it, I'm just going to chain Ghost Ogre, and then they're just going to have literally nothing. So as you can see, my opponent's going to concede to that. Like I said, a bit of a brief replay there. The next one is going to be 2, but these games are both still going to showcase me interacting with the opponent as they're playing. So, well, that was the case for this Hecahands replay. For the next one, it's going to be kind of the opposite. You'll see what I mean. Because this is actually going to be Elfnote trying to play on my turn. Again, this will be a bit of a brief one-turn replay game here, but it will showcase us countering the Elfnote turn 0 plays. Yes, I know we have the Maxi board. I'm not even going to use that here. We will, however, definitely use the Fenrir. We're going to special Fenrir and then activate. Opponent's going to throw out an Imperm, which is obviously fantastic for me because the Fenrir is just going to add another copy that I can't use right now anyway. But I will say this. In a tournament or like higher on a ranked ladder, like in rating duels, I probably would not have activated Fenrir here because I don't think most people would imperm a Fenrir. I mean, they might. I don't know. It's really iffy. But adding the extra copy of Fenrir that doesn't do anything for me leaves us really, really weak to the Droll and Lockbird. And P.U.N.K is a deck that really does need to be able to search. Granted, here, I can still Rising Scale for Sharkusai, for the Rising Carpin still summon from deck, but I wouldn't be able to get my field spell, I wouldn't be able to search the Dangerous Gabu, my Zaamine wouldn't get to search, so there were some drawbacks here to getting drolled. However, thankfully the opponent didn't have it, instead they're going to use their Imperm, which obviously again is totally fine. Now here, they're also going to throw out Regina, sending away the Elfnote Power Patron. You'll notice that I did not chain Max C. That was very intentional. Unlike that last game against Hecahands where I forgot with Fulos. No, this time I'm doing it on purpose because I'm going to Ash Blossom the Regina anyway, so they're not going to get another summon. And then I also plan on destroying the Regina on my turn shortly after I start comboing, right? So my opponent's going to have a 3-card hand, and Max C into a 3-card hand, plus my end board is just going to be completely unwinnable for my opponent. So they're going to summon Regina, obviously, to the center. And they're going to activate, but as mentioned, I'm going to chain the Ash Blossom here. They'd probably try to go for Lucina, and then when I normal summon Zaamine, like maybe swap to bounce. Granted, that wouldn't have been enough to stop me from comboing anyway, but we're going to use Zaamine to add an extra Foxy Tune, and then here's the big upside of Fenrir. We can tune it with our level 3 P.U.N.K tuners for the Baron de Fleur. Of course, you'd probably already be playing Baron even without the Fenrir, just because there are some ways to make it otherwise, but the Fenrir makes it so much easier. Cash Tira P.U.N.K back in the day when Unicorn and Fenrir, well, Unicorn is at 3 and Fenrir is at 2, was so strong for this exact reason. So really excited to have the third Fenrir back on board here. We're going to use Rising Scale in order to banish the Zaamine and then summon. If I didn't already have Rising Scale in hand, then I wouldn't have searched Foxy Tune, but now we can use Rising Scale to pull Sharkusai from the deck. That'll fuse with the Foxy Tune in hand to go for the Rising Carp, and this is where our opponent's going to concede. Basically, with the rest of the combo line, if they hadn't conceded here, I would have gone Rising Carp for Wagon, the one that searches a spell card, and then Deer Note, the level 5. Then Wagon would have grabbed the field spell, activate the field spell, sync for the level 8 Jam Dragon Drive. That would have allowed me to add a level 3 Psychic monster from hand, as well as, of course, get a draw off the field spell. Could have added Ghost Ogre, but I think what I would have done here is actually gone for the spider. The Madam Spider, yeah. Specialed her off the field spell effect, searched the Dangerous Gabu, and got another draw. And then, at that point, we would have had Sharkusai, Scales, Rising Scale, as well as the Madam Spider and the Jam Dragon Drive, and of course Baron de Fleur, meaning we would have had the 2 extra bodies to then pivot into Fiendsmith. Long story short, our end board was going to be Caesar for 2 summon negates, Baron Omni negate, Gabu for the monster negate, as well as Sharkusai plus Jam Dragon Drive for the Amazing Dragon, or it probably would have been Rising Scale, just to have that effect to flip face down. On top of Maxi, going into their 3-card hand. Very, very deadly setup. Anyway, got one last more back and forth game to show you. Let's finish off with that one. Okay, this last game is going to be a going second one, and don't worry, it's more than one turn. We're going to be up against Yubel. That's actually teching a Millennium Engine. And we are looking decent here. I mean, we have Droll, which against Yubel itself, Droll actually doesn't do a ton. But since they have the Millennium Engine, the Droll can kind of help stop that too. Alright, they're going to go for the Nightmare Pain F, and this is where we get to Droll and Lockbird them. Obviously, the opponent wanted to set Nightmare Pain rather than add it to hand, otherwise we would have gotten to Droll sooner. You always set Nightmare Pain on turn 1 to play around Droll. Alright, there's the Yubel from the deck. They've got the Gruesome Grave Squirmer. They're going to pop that. They really should have popped the Yubel, right? To summon the Terra Incarnate? I guess they wanted to revive the spirit here. I kind of don't think that was right, but it could be dependent on their hand. It's been so long since I've played Yubel, but yeah, the Millennium Shield, or Shield of the Millennium Dynasty, was a bit surprising to me. They are actually teching an Onk with the Unstoppable Exodia in their deck as well, so were it not for Joel, we would have had to have faced against that too, but really, the only thing that we have to worry about here is the Phantom of Yubel, and we top deck Imperm, so it doesn't really matter anyway. We're going to Imperm negate the Phantom, activate E-Telly for Zayamine. Zayamine is going to activate, adding the Rising Scale. Now we'll activate Rising Scale. I'm just going to banish the Foxy Tune from hand because I don't really need it. We're going to pull Sharkusai out of the deck. Sharkusai gets to activate, fusing with the Madam Spider in order to special summon the Rising Carp. Now Rising Carp's going to activate, tributing and special summoning Deer Note and Wagon from deck. You pretty much always grab those 2 off of the Rising Carp unless you already opened with the Wagon. But now we're going to tune the 2 of those into Jam Dragon Drive with the field spell up. It's going to let us summon off Deer Note, search off the Jam Dragon Drive, and then after the resolution of this chain link, we get to draw off the field spell here. I'm just going to grab Ghost Ogre because I don't really need any other level 3 tuners here. We already have access to the Madam Spider. That's going to add Dangerous Gabu and get us another draw. Okay, now I'm going to normal summon Effect Veiler and use that as one of my 2 effect monsters in order to pivot into my Fiendsmith engine, but I'm not actually going to go for Caesar. There's not really much of a point because I'm just going to win the duel on this turn anyway. I actually don't really need to go into Fiendsmith at all here, but the Engraver Send effect is a nice way of getting the Spirit of Yubel off the board without actually triggering its effect to summon Yubel, so basically I'm just going to go for a Pep OTK here. We're going to Synchro for level 11. That'll be Psychic End Punisher. Psychic End Punisher is going to activate here, banishing the Engraver and the opponent's Nightmare Pain. And remember, because I used Imperm on the Phantom, the Yubel, it's negated, so they'll take the battle damage. And because Nightmare Pain is no longer on board, I don't have the battle damage reflected to me. And by my math, we were at 6,100, so that was exactly enough after the opponent paid 2k for their Millennium effect to finish them off with the Psychic End Punisher. So there we go. Very clean, nice win there. Now that I've shown you the games, let me show you the list and we'll finish off. Okay, so here is my Fiendsmith Punk list, which of course is featuring 3 Cast Sheriff Fenrir. We're at a nice clean 40 cards. Really like being at 40 here. Gives us ample opportunity to open our Fenrir, which we do always want to see in the opening hand. Cashier of Fenrir is a great card, not only going first to be able to set up the Baron de Fleur, but also going second. Plays very well into your opponent's board. You immediately begin by special summoning this. It does not start a chain link, so Fenrir will be on the board before your opponent can do anything else during your main phase 1, and if they start to try to negate or stop your cards with their monster effects, you can use Fenrir to start banishing the rest of their board. Very, very nice. Also, again, as you saw, gives us access to Baron de Fleur extremely easily in this deck, and not only that, but even if we only open Fenrir and like all hand traps, right? Well, for one, if it's a Ghost Scroll, we can just, again, make the Baron de Fleur, but even if it's just like Joel and Lockbird with the Fenrir and a bunch of like spells that aren't E-Telly and trap cards, then we can still access our Fiendsmith engine and end on Caesar, you know, if nothing else. So, as mentioned, we're on a minimal Fiendsmith package. What that means is the only Fiendsmith monster in our main deck is Engraver, and for the extra deck, it's Necroquip, Caesar, Requiem, and then of course Moon of the Closed Heaven. So again, I went into a lot of detail of all the different kinds of Fiendsmith engine you can use in my Fiendsmith video I posted, should be yesterday. Again, I'll link that down below as well. But basically the idea here is that because Fiendsmith can't really pivot into Punk, I'm just using Fiendsmith as part of the Punk combo line. I don't necessarily want to have like Flurry and Tract and Lacrima, because I'd rather just open like E-Telly or Punk cards or Fenrir. So that's why we've only got the one Engraver, and then that also saves us some extra deck room. We don't need to play Fiendsmith Lacrima or Fiendsmith Sequence to be able to get access to the Caesar. But you do definitely have room in the extra deck. I mean, as you can see, we're playing Typhone and Little Knight, which for a especially like a synchro-based deck is often a telltale sign of like you've got extra room here. Almirage looks really optional, but it's actually not. If you open Xayamine and then a bunch of hand traps, you can still normal summon Xayamine, activate it to add Rising Scale, then you can link off Xayamine to special Almirage, because the Rising Scale has to banish a Punk monster, or card rather, from your hand or graveyard, but can't from your field. So after you've linked your normal summon Xayamine into Almirage, then you can activate Rising Scale, banish Xayamine from graveyard, special pull Shar Kusai from deck, and that's full Punk combo. So that's why we have the Almirage. That does actually really matter here. Got a lot of options for level 11s. Obviously, again, the Jurai is a board wipe, the Pep is a Towers, and Amazing Dragon is a bounce board wipe that you will summon during your opponent's turn with Shar Kusai plus either Jam Dragon Drive or Rising Scale. There should also be some amount of Punk combo guides linked below. I feel like I've definitely made at least one before, but maybe I haven't. I actually don't remember. If I haven't, then let me know in the comments if you want to see one. I would be happy to oblige. But anyway, yeah, I love Punk. One of my favorite archetypes of all time, right up there with Sprite and Synchrons for me. And the unlimiting of Fenrir really was a huge buff for this deck. So wanted to showcase it now that this ban list has helped it out. But that is going to do it. Thank you, as always, for watching all the way to the very end. That really does mean a lot. And now that we are at the end, let's go ahead and thank our YouTube members and Patreon subscribers for their extra generous support. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Thank you so very much for watching all the way to the very end of the video, which by the way is one of the best ways to support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, take a look at the names on screen. These are folks who have been so generous as to either join as a YouTube member or subscribe over on patreon.com/Hexlex to support. There's also perks for doing so. If you would like to see YouTube videos early, as well as some exclusive videos that get uploaded to YouTube, but for one reason or another I decide not to publish, definitely go ahead and hit that join button to see content early, as well as some exclusive content. If you're looking for more exclusive content, over on patreon.com, I upload exclusive videos that are not posted on YouTube just about every single day. Whether you choose to subscribe over on Patreon, join as a YouTube member, or simply continue to watch, your support is greatly appreciated. Thank you so very much. But for now, this is Hexlex. I am signing out, and I hope that you have a fantastic day.